timetable. This may take the form of making sure that we also have an approach that brings a back to life, a back to normal life roadmap. And we've done one that we are ready to share and to make sure that government develops one for the common good. In the interim, government must look at ways of looking at education. Looking at education by making sure that we also consult on teaching method that must be fully explored and scaled up using platforms such as the television, radio, and also dealing with the cost of data so that it is subsidized for our students who are supposed to benefit through online learning. In the rural areas, we need radio because online might not be a viable and credible strategy. There's also a need to explore using the television, and the role of ZBC is very important, especially radio and television through lessons. Radio lessons must help those in remote areas to have wide coverage. And we must also go an extra mile in consulting our teachers, our teacher associations, so that they give us the best approach on how we can teach our students during this pandemic. Solutions are always local. Solutions are always with experts and those affected most by the circumstance. So let's go to our teachers. Let's also consult our various teacher associations. Civil servants must also be allowed to work from home so that we decongest their places of work. We must go online. Civil servants must be given access to data, avail digital gadgets and services. They must also be encouraged to also continue to explore various application solutions that will help government to be on a smart platform. We must enforce fumigation of those workplaces that are supposed to be fumigated from time to time, because these are places that are usually high traffic in terms of concern and visit. There is need to marshal resources for the countries that are in COVID circumstances. In our particular case, it must include budget recasting, budget viramenting, and making sure that we cut down government expenditure, especially on non-essential items. And I must emphasize, non-essential items, like luxury vehicles. We continue to see importation of expensive vehicles. Why should people in government be the ones who drive the most expensive cars? We don't want to see Lamborghinis, we don't want to see Discoveries, we don't want to see Mercedes-Benz being driven by government officials. Yes, they need decent vehicles, but not expensive vehicles. Let's leave this kumbinga. Mbinga ndo zinoenderana nokudriva mota dzinodhura nokuti ndokubasa kwawo. Izwe hurumende toita basa rokushandira nyika so that we are not focused on trinkets and trappings of office. We must channel surplus resources to a COVID response. You are aware that we've had a lot of resources that could be channeled, that 2% could also be rechanneled to make sure that it supports all those who are supposed to be supported. We must also, as a matter of urgency, empty remand prisons. And of course, leave those very serious offenses. Give amnesty to those prisoners, except those on very serious charges. We need a plan to decongest our prisons. We need a plan to make sure that there's a strict regime of testing, screening, and isolating, and particularly disinfecting our prison areas. Let us also do one fundamental thing. Any country that does not speak to God is going to be in difficult jeopardy. We must allow our churches to open, provided that there's social distancing, there's testing, and there's also masking, with all the protocols that are supposed to be followed. When we pray, our God will hear us. When we seek the face of our God, He will not disappoint us. And we must thank God, He has also provided providence and preservation for our country in difficult circumstances. Had it not been for God, that is required is in the region of 5 billion. In line with what we have said around consultation, we call upon government to come up with a reasonable package to serve businesses, small and large. Government should consider a number and a raft of fiscal measures aimed at reducing the tax burden for businesses, individuals, where appropriate. The following must be considered: an immediate removal of certain of the taxes that are not necessary. I look at tourism and mining. In tourism, we have 22 taxes. In mining, we have 15 taxes, respectively. And this should be dealt with to make sure that we also lighten the burden. In the long term, there is need for the post-COVID reconstruction and recovery program. This must take inputs from all stakeholders. Since the effects of COVID-19 are non-partisan, I want to implore each and every Zimbabwean to take this opportunity to be each other's keeper. We know the inadequacy of our system, the struggles of our collective being. However, now is the time to look at each other to ensure that we fight COVID-19 through our collective Ubuntu, our collective capacity, our collective historical competencies. Our brothers and sisters are dying. We are dying. We must wash our hands. We must mask up. We must keep our distance. No one is coming to save us. It is us. It is time we work together to stop the spread of this pandemic.